Okay, so now fractions, booklet 2, greatest common factor and harder reduction. So to reduce fractions to their simplest equivalent form, divide by any common factors. So I see 24/30. So what first I'm going to do is show kind of a visual representation of what that is. So 24/30, I'm going to make 30 boxes. I'm going to shade in 24, so 24 out of 30. The first thing I need to think of is, okay, what is a factor of both 24 and 30? Well, 3. 3 definitely is. So let's divide both of them by 3. So I have 24/30. I'm going to divide both 24 and 30 by 3. So I'm going to end up with 8/10. And I'm going to show that visually right here. Okay, so now I've got 8/10. I've simplified my fraction, but is it fully simplified? Is it done? Is it in simplest form? No, because it isn't. There's a common factor of 8 and 10. And we're thinking, okay, what's a common factor of 8 and 10? Well, a little simple trick, if they're both even, 2 is always going to be a factor if the numbers are even. So I see 8 and 10, 2 is a common factor, so we must divide again. So I'm going to get 8/10. I'm going to divide both 8 and 10 by 2, and I'm going to end up with 4/5. So I'm going to show that here as well visually. So my simplest form, 4/5. Are there any common factors outside of 1? No, there's not. So my simplest form is 4/5. So 24/30 is equal to 8/10, which is also equal to 4/5. So let's move on down, and I see, let's go into the instructions here. So I see, instead of taking several steps to reduce a fraction's simplest form, find and divide by the greatest common factor to go straight to the answer. In order to find the greatest common factor, list the factors for each number and circle the largest one they have in common. So again, we have 24/30. We're going to use the exact same example. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to list out the factors of 24. They are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. All those numbers go into 24 evenly. Then I'm going to look into the factors of 30. And those would be 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15, and 30. So then you need to find out which ones do you have in common. Well, I know 1's in common. That's always the case. 2's in common. 3's in common. Looks like 6 is in common. I don't see anything else. So the greatest common factor, the largest number that goes into both 24 and 30, would be 6. And so I'm going to go ahead and circle that right there. So since the greatest common factor of 24 and 30 is 6, divide both the numerator and the denominator by the GCF to find its simplest form. So 24/30, divide both numbers by 6. So then I'm looking at 4/5, and that is its simplest form, and we prove that above. Looking here at the bottom, it says to reduce the fraction using GCF. So for 36/60, let's first list out the factors of 36. I recognize that as 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 12, 18, and 36 will all evenly go into 36. They're all factors. Then looking at 60, we have even more. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 12, 15, 20, 30, and 60 all go into 60 evenly. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to find out what are common factors. And so I'm going to go ahead and bold those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. 12 seems to be the largest one, so that would be my GCF. So I'm going to divide both 36 and 60 by 12. So 36 divided by 12 is equal to 3. And 60 divided by 12 is equal to 5. So it looks like 3/5. That is my simplest form. So my final answer is 3/5. Moving on to page number 5, there are 2 ways to find the greatest common factor to a problem. Now we've been doing the first way already. It's listing out all the factors. So for instance, let's say the factors of 16 and 24. So I'm going to list out all the factors of 16, which in this case will be 1, 2, 4, 8, and 16, and all the factors of 24, which is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. I've went ahead and bolded them again already. So it looks like 8 seems to be the largest one, so my GCF is going to be 8. There's another method though, and this works generally. It works with every time, but especially with larger numbers, it's very, very helpful if you don't want to list out 30 factors for each number. It's called a factor ladder, and so this is basically how we're going to go do it. A factor ladder basically just kind of looks like the rung of one ladder. You know how you kind of reach up and you grab that little thing on a ladder? That's basically what it looks like, and I'll show that here. Step 1 is to place the numbers inside the top rung of the ladder. So in this case, we're using 16 and 24, so go ahead and put them there and there. So now, step 2, write down a factor of both numbers in the circle. Divide both numbers by the factor and put each answer below the line. Determine if the numbers below the line have any common factors besides 1. So for instance, 2 is a common factor of 4 and 6, which you would put a 2 outside. So I'm going to go ahead and put my 16 and 24. I know that 4 is a factor of both 16 and 24. So basically, how many times does 4 go into 16? 4 times. How many times does 4 go into 24? 6 times. So now I have this right here. Step 3, you're going to repeat this process if necessary with the 2 new numbers on the bottom, 4 and 6 in this case, until they have no common factors besides 1. So I look up there and I've redone it. I've now basically added the next rung below it. So I see 4 and 6. What's a common factor of 4 and 6? 2. 2 is definitely a common factor. They're both even. 2 goes into 4 twice, and 2 goes into 6 3 times. So then I have that right there. And now step 4, finally, once there are no more common factors, multiply the numbers in the circles together, or basically on the left side. In this case, it's going to be 4 times 2. So then what's 4 times 2? It's equal to 8. So your greatest common factor is 8. Let's do the problem on the bottom now. So it says find the GCF, or the greatest common factor, of 24 and 60 using method 2. Okay? So I set up my first rung of 24 and 60. I go ahead and put 6 as a factor, because I know 6 is a factor of 24 and 60. It goes into 24 4 times, and into 60 10 times. I then think, okay, 4 and 10, I can work with that. Common factor of 2, so 2 goes into 4 twice, and 2 goes into 10 5 times. 2 and 5 only have a common factor of 1, so I only multiply the numbers on the left, so it's going to be 6 times 2. 6 times 2 is equal to 12, so my greatest common factor is 12.